Hey, everybody. Welcome to Marketing Mondays. How are you today, Christopher?
I actually feel incredible today compared to the week I had last week. So glad to be here.
Yeah, Chris is just getting over COVID. You actually were down for about 2 days, right? And then what happened
I
with
was
that?
down for 2 days and then kind of 50-50 for a little bit, but want to do the good thing and actually test negative, which is today was my first negative test since I got it to actually go see my parents. We're gonna watch the Michigan game, so I'm kind of excited about that once we get off this. But I'm excited for this too because honestly, I look really forward to these conversations and kind of getting this information out to everyone.
Awesome. All right, let's jump right in, folks. It's Marketing Mondays. We're excited to have you here. Today is all about listing optimization. And here's why I wanted to address this today on New Year's Day. This is day one. That means you and me have exactly 365 days to max out the net income that we're trying to generate off of our portfolio. So we need to take action today. So here's what I want you to do. Just like when I'm, trying to work and teach with my coaching clients, mastermind, inner circle, whatever it is, I want you to write down no more than three things. Three things that you are not doing that you're missing in your listing. Execute those three things once we're done. And one of those needs to be today, right? So that's your single day goal. So I want you to execute one today as soon as we're done. We're going to be done with this no later than 2 o'clock. We're only supposed to be 30 minutes. I know this is going to take longer than that. I don't know what time the Michigan game starts, Chris. You can leave at 1:30. Totally cool. I'll handle some listing reviews and go through that type of stuff. But here's the day. You have to fucking execute one thing today that your listing is missing. And I'm going to start with really number one, right? And number one is pricing. Pricing's the number one thing that will affect your listing. So a lot of you have said, man, I've dropped off I have had no bookings. I've gone from page 2 to page 7 to page 9. The first thing that I will always check will be my pricing. Now, you guys know me, and if you've been following me for a while, back in 2020, 2021, raise your prices, raise your prices, raise your prices. Last winter was the first time that I actually reduced my prices since COVID had started, and actually probably since around 2018, even during the winter. And the reason why is as markets get saturated, as more people come into the marketplace, we have more competition, right? So as traffic diminishes, meaning the demand diminishes, and if you guys are on Price Labs, I'm going to take a step back here real quick. If you are not paying the extra $10 a month or whatever it costs to get the weekly market report, you're doing yourself a disservice. So really what number one should be is we need to have a mindset shift here, right? You should be investing into the best photos. You should be paying the extra dollars to get these types of reports because then you get lead time. Then you're going to be able to track your competitors. If we aren't ranked in page 1 or page 2, then we don't earn the opportunity to max out our pricing. So that's really what I want you to understand. Even my top performing super properties right now, if they're beach or they're lake or they are not like ski in, ski out, they're not in Banner Elk, they're not in Montana, then I am staying within 10% of the median. I want to say that one more time. I'm staying within 10% of the median. I don't care if it's 90th percentile, 75th percentile, or 30th percentile. If the marketplace is flatlining at $300 a night and I'm like 20% above that, like 360, or I would used to be like 450, 500, I'm not getting booked, and neither are you. So really, if you do want to get booked, and part of your pricing optimization strategy should be potentially to go underneath what I call the Mendoza line, right? That flat line where everybody is. That's where the marketplace is flooded. Doesn't matter what your bedroom count is. Then you probably need to go under that a little bit, about 7 to 15 days prior to your date. So pricing is the number one thing. You've got to know where your comps are. It's really easy. I kind of look at Rank Breeze and Price Labs to track all of that. But one of the things that I love, and I don't want to turn this into a whole revenue management side, is the booking lead time for the marketplace. That's a huge KPI that you need. You need to know where your competitors are priced and the days, even if you have a mega super property in the off-peak season. When I look at Gulf Shores and I've seen like 45, 46,000 search queries within a week. We're talking when we're in prime booking season like 2021. And then I've seen them as low as like 700. 40,000, 700. We have to be competitive on price if we're in that 700 or 1,000 or even anything below 2,000 or 3,000 range. Do you have anything to add to that one, Christopher?
I don't want people to miss the market dashboard from Price Labs. Obviously, there's a lot of tools out there. Whenever we say a tool, there's probably 20 other tools that do similar things. But The market dashboard, besides the email they send you, which is awesome in itself, that you kind of get to the quick snippets really, really quick. The actual dashboard itself, I have it kind of pulled up on my left screen real quick, is incredible to actually look at bookings, active listings for a time period, for a bedroom count, average length of stay, the typical booking window, estimate occupancy, ADR by bedroom count, actually be able to give you examples of specific properties, specific bedrooms, their ratings, their reviews, and their price for a particular window. So it's incredible to be able to compare comp sets, create comp sets, see available listings, see ADR, booking windows, and how it changes throughout the year. It's an incredible tool to actually dive deep into it, not just kind of the surface level. I guess my neighbors are priced somewhere where I am, like actually know the data to make a really good decision.
We don't ever want somebody to say, I guess, right? You have to know with definity, you have to know, and you have to be very intentional and understand that this is a business. And, look, there's someone here that just commented. I can't see the comments. I'm not on the Facebook group, Chris, but he or she said it's the first time here. He or she just quit her job. Welcome. I'm Bill Faith. This is Chris, my chief operating officer. We're excited to have you here. There's a reason that high achievers really excel in the short-term rental space. And what I mean is high achievers in this space, the ones that are set it and forget it, that are really trying to do it passive, are the ones that struggle a little bit, or at least that I have a competitive advantage over, because I will work inside of this. I'm just like you. I don't want you to think that I've got 15 VAs and Chris handles the messaging and somebody else does my cleaning crew and so I've got a revenue manager. I'm doing 99% of all my own shit. Unless I have a technical issue, then I will reach out to Chris because he handles all my technical stuff on the back end. So I'm in this to win it, just like you guys are. I want you in to win it, because if you've been paying attention, whether it's my Superhost Sunday that I just did yesterday, Kenny and myself on the STRnomics podcast, here's what's happening in our world, and it's happening in our space too. If you're here in the middle, kind of where that Mendoza line was in that pricing strategy, and you don't make improvements to your property, you need to sell it. That's not a news flash. You need to sell it, and you need to reinvest, or you should get out. Because if you're in the middle and you're competing on price, you're going to get pushed down, and it's going to get worse. You've either got to level up. We can't be average. We can't be Applebee's. We can't be TGI Fridays. We can't be Gap or Kmart or Sears. All those fucking businesses are gone. You've either got to level up to Restoration Hardware and to Nordstrom, or you need to go all the way down to like Amazon and Home Goods and that type of stuff. And you're either going to be occupancy based or value based. For me, everything that I do personally, and I don't just teach what I do, just FYI, for those of you that are new, I am the value-based buyer. I'm going after value-based buyers. I'm Wealthy Wendy. I'm, Wealthy Walter. I am not going after blue-collar Bob. So it's no problem to go after blue-collar Bob, but you need to understand that in your mindset. You need to make that decision first before you start executing the strategy. All right. Welcome to everybody that's just logged in. I really appreciate you guys being here. Please say hello, your first name, and where you're from. We want to know where you're from. And if you have any questions, let me know. Can you comment on the so-called Airbnb bust? Because all my properties did the most ever in 2023. I don't know who that is. Whoever started that fucking hashtag's a moron. They're either lazy, they suck at hosting, they don't know how to fucking market, or they're just a fucking idiot, to be honest with you. Because everybody that I know that does the shit that I throw down to them was up, just like whoever this is that just commented. There's no such thing as Airbnb bust. Hey, Jake from New Hampshire. Karen from Bristol, Tennessee. Awesome. Angel Fire, Austin, Valerie, Brianna. There's no Airbnb bust. Airbnb bust is for those lazy motherfuckers that literally invested and didn't do anything. You agree, Chris?
Absolutely.
And no disrespect to them. There's people that aren't looking to max out their profit. I'm looking to build a life for me, for my wife, for my two daughters, for Chris. Those are the people that are super essential to me, right? I don't even know. Chris, hopefully, did you make more money last year than you did the previous year?
Yeah.
Did you make more money in 22 than you made in 21?
Yeah.
Did you make more money in 21 than you made in 20?
Yes.
Are you happy?
Always.
I'm doing my fucking job then. That's why I am so pent up about making sure that I max out everything. It's not just me and my family. I made a promise to this kid right here, to a kid. He's like 35 or maybe even 36 now. But going to be 36 on March 1st, aren't you?
Yep.
Crazy. So decide what path you want to go down And if you really want to max out your net income, you want to max out your profit, then keep following. If you don't, then I'm probably not your guy. You can go find somebody that hires it out and doesn't do anything for you guys. So with all that being said, we got to get into number 2 here. Design and staging equals marketability. There is a reason I love Kim Fitzpatrick from Launch Host tremendously. She owns Launch Host. She stages properties. She got to North Carolina to stage a property, but you know who's there now is my wife, because Kim unboxes, assembles everything, puts it in the right rooms, stages. But there's a difference between a designer staging and somebody like Kim to stage and do the design. You either have the eye or you don't. I think I've learned a lot from my wife, and I'm pretty decent, but I am nowhere near as good as she is. So if you don't design appropriately for your buyer, then your photos aren't going to render appropriately. Then you lose the marketability, right? And the next one I'm going to talk about is something that becomes really important. So the design and staging is where most people miss. And it really kind of stinks because it's not that hard. We do either need to have somebody that does know how to design, or somebody, you need to hire that out, unfortunately. But it is something that I would highly recommend that you guys focus on. Here's what happens. A lot of you guys buy properties, doesn't matter what size it is, but you spend all your money in the property acquisition. You put some decent money into your headboards, your beds, your kitchen. You put in new flooring, you put in couches, whatever. But then you don't put in those last small pieces. You don't put the accent pillows. You don't put the fluffy rugs. You're going to Kirkland and you're spending as little amount of money as in the smaller things to fill up a space on a wall, as opposed to, buying bigger artwork pieces that make the room look larger. I wish we could play a video, because my wife is in the OBX right now, Chris, as you know. She literally texted me about a 10-second video showing me that she has a medium-sized rental, like SUV, I don't know, like a Mitsubishi or something. She couldn't get a full size. She has 21 pieces of artwork smashed into that thing from the Home Goods in Kitty Hawk. And the average size is like 36 by 48 inches. Nothing small, nothing 12 by 12. So the marketability comes from your interior design and your external design. The marketability, and we're putting location, proximity, all that type of stuff aside. That's a given. You can't take a property that is a B or a C with location and proximity and then just put hundreds of thousands of dollars into it and turn it into a super property. You've made a bad investment. If the issue of why you're not hitting your goals is the location and the proximity, then you definitively, need to sell. If you have a good location, you have good views, you have good proximity, then you can implement these things to take it from good to better to super. Does that make sense to everybody? And Chris, if anybody has any great questions popping up, let me know. This is where I see that people blow the budget on the big stuff and they don't focus on the small things, like the branding of the coffee bar. Don't just put, all your coffee shit on top of the counter or a hutch or whatever. Brand it. Make it look nice. Make it stand out. Everything in your design should be for the photos, should be for the video walkthrough to go on VRBO. It should all be in the setup for the marketability.
Absolutely. I think people forget that when you talk about listing optimization, you're actually optimizing for two things at the same time. One is the algorithm, the robots behind everything that look at all the parts and pieces and the words you say and the pricing and kind of place you in the listing. But then you're also optimizing for the human being that is going to go through and see a bunch of similar properties and pick your property over everyone else. And these are the things that separate yourself once you're up on the page and you're in the top whatever. These are the things that stand out piece, or as your wife calls it, the jewelry piece. I was just going through her content in the for the inner circle. It's the stuff that stands out. It's stuff that stands out in photos. It's the stuff that someone goes, "Wow, that's beautiful," and that's the things that separate you. Once you get to that same place, you have the same location, you're in the top 5 of rankings. These are the things that separate you to be that top upper percent to allow you to charge more, but also get the bookings when people see it because they're wowed by what they see.
Agree 1,000%. Carlos, dude, I commend you, my friend. Congrats on doing that. Now, let's make sure that you get above the top 5%. The 95th percentile is not good enough, dude. I'm at 52% above the 90th percentile. So forget about that. Let's, is one of the things I love about Grant Cardone, the reason he said, let's created 10X along with Hank and Steve, is really with Hank and Steve. If you guys know who Grant Cardone is, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Hank Norman, who's my keynote on day number 1 at the STR Wealth Conference, is the one that created, along with his business partner Steve Carlos, created 10x. Grant Cardone knew that it was easier to shoot for 5 or 6 or 10 times more than it was to just double whatever you're doing right now. So Carlos, I want you to double that, and we need to shoot for like 150, 160, right? As opposed to being in that top 5%. Carlos, if you believe you can do that, you're the type of guy I want in my inner circle, man, because I'm looking for people that want to be super fucking high achievers. That's who I want. They get direct access to me, and that's who I want to surround myself with. So congrats, Carlos. Let me know what I can do to help you, my friend. Chris, jumping into number 3, obviously coming out of design and staging is the marketability, right? Is really going to be your pictures, the quality, the order, and the copy. And we need to unpack this for a few minutes. There's a reason that Andrew Keller is on a flight to Norfolk, Virginia, and flying to the Outer Banks right now for mine and Bria's 2 new super properties. Is we're paying him almost double, sometimes triple what other photographers cost, because he takes what my wife designs and gives it the best opportunity to shine, right? So we talk about not saving enough of your budget to really finish out, all those finishing touches with the murals and the staging on the countertops, and have enough, money to put, buy the inflatables to put in the pool for the photos, or the charcuterie board that's $100 or $200. Those are essential to the staging. Those are essential to the picture quality. Those are essential to become marketable. And if we don't do that, then we just have an open table sitting there, right? So the second part of this is the order. And the order, I see way too many of you, and the listing I'm going to show you here in just a second does this, that I've chosen to show you. It's a really nice looking place. It's a great location, but the listing's not really good. It's yours, Carrie, from Burnsville, if you're on. And be ready, just like someone said here, I'm going to tear your listing apart here in just a second. But all with love, because, if I don't give you some tough love, everybody says, oh, it's so cute, it's pretty. It is, but it fucking sucks. And we're going to change that today. So hopefully you can make some more money. Small things to change, just small, right? To go from suck to super. And that's really what I want all of you to do, is to go from suck to super. And if you can get to super, you're going to make more money. Then you can buy another property, or invest in crypto or whatever you guys do. So the order, as I'm going to show you here, she starts inside, right? And this is a small 2-bedroom urban property, and she starts inside. None of you should start inside, ever, ever. The first image, the hero image, always needs to be outside. It needs to be of the view. It needs to be of the location. Even if, like here, fuck it, I'm just going to show you. Hold on one second. All right, here we go. Let's make this as big as we can. You don't need to see my ugly mug. So this is a 2-bedroom in Burnsville, and I love you, Carrie. So here's what I want you to see. This is look at these first 5 images. I don't know what the heck that is. This is just basically a different angle. All I see is the family room, right? What do I do in Burnsville? Why am I coming to this location? So first image, look at the quality of these images. These are definitely iPhone images. They're not even a 300 to 500 photographer, let alone an Andrew Keller by any means. But just some really simple things. This is where the design comes in. When you have this color brick and that color wood and that color ceiling and this color floor, and then you drop in a leather couch, you don't use like these gold, frames, or, the gold here from a designer standpoint. It just all looks so muted. You understand what I'm saying, Chris? Mm-hmm. This is where you would want to have like black frames, black or white thrown over. And instead of just having this throw here, have that thing draped over the corner, right? Try to cover up these scratches or whatever it is, that are on the back of the couch. We need to take these things into account when we're looking at our angles and when we're shooting these types of photos. But really, I'm going to go into the second. Here's the outside photo. It's a really poorly taken photo that doesn't show me that you're in downtown Burnsville. Literally, what was her name, Chris? Lauren, I think it was. If you turn sideways and shoot down the street at sunset, even with your iPhone, holy smokes, now I get to see the downtown area. Now I get the sunset, the great lighting. The lights are just starting to come on the buildings, all of those types of things to show me where I'm really at. That's the difference in the photos of what you have right now. So we're talking about staging and design and also the photos. Does that make sense? Chris, can
Absolutely.
you hear me when you're down there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
You're-
here's image number 3. It's okay, but it's just not beautiful. It's not great, right? It's the quality of the image. If this was taken by a professional photographer, this would render probably 5 to 6x better. Would you agree, Chris?
yeah.
The rule of thirds is not in place. You know, this looks like I took the photo, so I don't want. I think. Let me go back. I think her name was Lauren. Was it Lauren? Carrie. Carrie, I don't want you to think I'm railing on you because I would probably my listing would look the same way if I did it. That's why I've either had Chris shoot a professional photographer, or now I've got Andrew Keller and a new guy coming to shoot all of my properties everywhere. So same thing. It's just the kitchen, the backslash. It's beautiful, but the photos just don't do it justice. So this is one of my pet peeves, and this is something super small. If you're going to tell me that you're creating a workstation for me, then at least give me a monitor and a $2 pad of paper and a pen to stage that area. Get rid of this ugly plant, move it over here, slide that Google Home or whatever it is right here into the bookcase, and stage something nice up here to really make it inviting. You can buy it, Chris. What's a 24-inch Acer monitor cost on
Like
from
nothing.
Walmart or Amazon these days? 79, 99 bucks?
Yeah. Like nothing.
Nothing. And then set this up to really look like a workstation. When you have a small property, this is something that becomes really important, but it's got to be set up and it's got to be staged. This is just a $200 live edge table and an uncomfortable chair that's sitting there. And look, I'm sure some of you are like, wow, Bill's being really mean. I am not being mean. This is what your guests are thinking when they walk through and they look at your properties. So literally, if we just changed a couple of colors in that first image, if we had better photos, if we stage just a little bit better out of $100, $120, it's going to render completely differently, because all marketing is psychology. That's all that it is. And remember, Kenny and I talk about this all the time. The only Airbnb is a popularity contest. I'm not talking about anything technical. It's not like we're doing, H1 tags and alt text and script and code like we would do SEO on a website by any means. This is literally just trying to spruce up our listings to make them the absolute most attractive for the buyers that we want to book them. That's all this is.
Absolutely.
All right, let's keep going through this. I also want you guys to notice how these jump around. So I talked about order. Really what you should be doing is starting outside, and then you should be taking me on a walkthrough. So imagine walking your wife, your husband, your kids, your grandparents, your parents, whatever, your best friends through your property the very first time, and you're giving them a guided tour. What are you going to show them? I've gone from kitchen to family room to kitchen to workstation to bookcase to fireplace to back. There's no continuity of how somebody would walk through this property. I don't see a coffee maker, let alone a coffee bar. I don't really know what's included in the kitchen. It says gourmet kitchen with gas range, but she doesn't tell me what is inside the kitchen, right? And I don't know what I need to bring or I don't bring. Like, I hate this photo. You don't need to show me your plates and your bowls. I can see those right there.
Well, especially
You
at photo
do
9.
need what's that?
Especially at photo 9.
Agreed, 100%. I mean, don't show the hallway and showing me doors. Get rid of this 100%. Wow, that's even worse. Get rid of that 100%. This is one. So this is a vertical photo. It's not landscaped. This needs to be landscaped, and you need to show the entire room. The lamp on the left-hand side is cut off. I mean, this looks like, I love the colors. This is exactly what I was talking about in the family room. Take this color palette and move it out into the family room with like the lamps and the picture frames, and that family room is going to look completely different. But also here, it looks like a queen size bed. I need more pillows, right? I want to have these things staged a little bit nicer than what you have here, just small deals. But the biggest mistake in this photo, Chris, explain the rule of thirds and like framing out a room.
Yeah, the rule of thirds basically is if you divide a frame into thirds, there's thirds that go horizontally, thirds that go vertically, and you typically want to align things to be on thirds. It usually eliminates, so we have a lot of ceiling. The ceiling's incredible, so there might be times where you would use some ceiling because it's very unique to this space. But framing things that are on thirds Another thing, but if you go back a couple to like the kitchen or even the living room, a lot of photography, we don't talk about this a lot because it's a super nerdy photography thing. But when you frame things, you look for what's called a vanishing point or where points in the room align. So if you follow the line of the roof and the line of the wall, and then the vertical line down, everything should create kind of a point of focus or where your eyes get drawn to by the way you frame things. And so by just how it's framed, you actually block off a lot of how the room is by not giving it enough space. Like this one is kind of half kitchen, half living room with not really a focus on either. So your eye doesn't know where to go in it.
You either need to have it all in the frame or half of, or just one portion of it, right?
Yeah.
And you've got the chair and the lamp cut off over here. This would be turned to the left and just get, and this is something that's really important because she has the fireplace deeper in, right? Just the fireplace and the TV. If she just turned this to the left and she got the lamp, the chair, and whatever over here, then you don't need just the fireplace and just the television. The other thing is make sure that your photographer photoshops in whatever the traffic generator is around the area, the ski slope, the lake, the downtown, the antique shop, whatever it is, whatever the traffic generator is, don't ever leave black screens on your photos. So, Carrie, I'm not going to continue to go through your listing. Hopefully that's probably enough to help you get started and to go in and to optimize. I appreciate you sharing. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you with those. So that's really the order. The other thing that if you did notice in Carrie's listings is she did not have all of the copy maxed out underneath every one of the images. So when you do an order, I want you to start outside. I want you to show the traffic drivers, right? And then I want you to walk me inside that front door and take me on the tour, just like we're your guests. Think about, kids walking in, 5-year-old, 7-year-old kids are going to take off running. Where are they going to go? Well, just follow them with the camera, and that's going to kind of be where you want to hit. So if you go into a family room, finish the family room, then go to the dining, then go to the kitchen, then go to the sunroom, then go to the bedrooms, and then the ensuite. Don't go kitchen, dining room, family room, back to the dining room, back to the kitchen, to a bedroom, to the playroom, then to, the bathroom or the fire pit or whatever that is. If you have hot tubs, if you have fire pits, if you have all that external stuff, that needs to be super early in the listing. Max out every ounce of copy. The really technical component here from an SEO standpoint, we'll get to this as our last one, but just underneath your images, you got to tell the story. Don't just tell me king size master suite with king size bed. So I say super comfy king size bed, master suite with a 55-inch smart TV, USB outlets, whatever stuff you're putting into that, you might have whatever, but list it. Like if you have a massive walk-in closet, list it and let them know and describe it. The purpose for the copy is not to tell me what I see. It's to strike my emotion so that way I connect with it. I resonate with it in the copy underneath the images.
Absolutely. And I don't want people to forget that it's also a great place to put, you just mentioned a ton of great keywords that are also searchable things that help on the algorithm side. So things like 55-inch smart TV, USB outlets, a lot of things that people are looking for, the algorithm kind of takes into account a lot of your text. If your text is just master suite, then you don't get a chance to actually have it analyze that photo because the software is smart, right? So it's going to analyze the photo, put your text next to it, and that's where it can really tell, oh, it has these certain amenities that are also checkboxes, and it's on this location. It has these other things. So put those keywords in there. Don't keyword stuff it like we would say in the SEO days where it's just all keywords and nothing else in it. You're still speaking to a person. Make sure you hit some of those keywords to allow the algorithm to do its thing with the captions for photos.
Agreed. 1,000%. Great stuff. All right. Number 4 kind of ties into the previous ones, but this is Instagrammable. My wife calls them showstoppers or jewelry and that type of stuff. This is why people have added murals and the accent walls with the woodwork and that type of stuff, behind them. Your view, if you have like the view at the Outer Banks where Bria's at right now, we have one property that you've seen if you follow Kim or my wife that has the view out, it's ocean front and it's an incredible view. But once they go up to the second property tomorrow, holy smokes, it's on both sides. You got literally ocean on one side because there's no houses on either side, ocean on one side and then you got the bay on the other. So you got sunrise, sunset. That's going to be like probably my first 7 or 8 different photos. And Andrew has instruction to get it from the bedrooms, get it from the family room, get it from the kitchen, both sides, right? So that way I can showcase both. Now I can market. It's Instagrammable, but it gives me more marketability to let everybody know on the 20 people that can stay there that you will wake up to views. Doesn't matter what freaking room that you're in. That's the Instagrammable component. If you do not have that type of a view, then you create something Instagrammable inside of your house. I talk about this a lot, and I talked about it maybe in the lesson, the modules that you're going through for Bria in the inner circle for the design side. And you remember you went to Bella Vista, my first beach house down in Gulf Shores. You remember the big mural we had? And this was like 2017, 18, folks. Had a hand-painted mural, and I was going to paint that thing the first day that we walked in. And my wife's like, you cannot paint that. That was probably a $10,000 or a $15,000 hand-painted mural. This was before anybody was doing murals, inside their property. And it was the very first beach house that we had. I was trying to conform, right? And that's what I want to make very, very clear. I would rather see you be so aggressive over the top as opposed to trying to conform to what everybody else does, because then you are going to have a much higher likelihood of creating something that's going to be Instagrammable. So that was kind of our Instagrammable number one interior component. Remember how big that the master bathroom was? There was like 300 square foot master bathroom. We leveraged that tremendously. But then you walked up onto that top deck, and you could put 30 people out there for a party, but the views were incredible. So and we are tier 2. It allowed me to market because I don't remember the number. It was like 82 steps or 78 steps to the beach, right? To get to the sand. And then we had this accessibility. We had the views. It created the Instagrammable, the marketability component for me to be able to market that as almost beachfront, right? I didn't market as a short walk or tier 2 because I could also show it as well. So you have to, if you don't have that, you have to create something. That's where I like the woodwork. I like the murals. At the OBX house, you can go to Bria Faith, and she did a walkthrough this morning, and you can see it. I spent some extra money to buy the biggest freaking couch ever, and from Rooms to Go, that could seat like probably 14 people on this sectional, I should call it, right? And it's a little bit tight inside of the windows, but it gives me the ability to be able to tell the guests when they have 20 people that are going to stay there that I've got 2 dining tables to where your entire family can dine together. I've got enough soft furniture in this one room to where all of you, can sit together and watch the Michigan game, this afternoon or whatever that is. Those are the things that become really important. So at this place, I've got 3 levels. We're going to showcase the Instagrammable views, but then we're going to showcase like a couple of things that nobody else has. 2 hot tubs. I kept the old shitty hot tub and I added a brand new one down by the pool. So now I can say we've got 2 hot tubs, we've got pools. I can show them the views from the upper hot tub. I can show them the privacy in the pool from down below. I'm creating these things that are going to become Instagrammable that nobody else has. Anything to add on to that, Chris?
Yeah, this is your top 5. I think a lot of people look at the cover photo, and they're like, that's the showstopper photo. And then they do similar to what the listing you were showing earlier does, where it's like 3 of the next 4 photos are basically the same room, just from different angles. And you're not using the power of that top 5. It really is the like above the fold in the old newspaper days. That's your thing to get the attention for someone to click in and look at the rest of the photos. You want your top 5 to be absolutely stellar, to give them the thought of, okay, if this is what this property is, I want to go see the rest, and not just, okay, well, the cover photo was great. That's what got me to click in here. But now it's basically the next 4 photos are the exact same room, just from different angles. I don't know if I'm as interested. You can use that space. Use every ounce of space you have. We said this with words, but also with the photos to your advantage to get people to click, to look, to actually want to dive deeper into your listing.
Agreed. So number 5, show your traffic drivers, right? So this is part of the sales process. That's why people are coming to the property, but it also has to do with, if like my Banner Elk property is an example, I'm right in between Beach Mountain Ski Resort and Sugar Mountain Ski Resort, which are the highest traffic drivers right now. So literally I show photos of them. I leverage all the copy with a description underneath in the photos, but I've also got them included in the description and how far away they are. So I'm putting in the name, Sugar Mountain Ski Resort. I'm putting in their address, really big deal, and how far it is from my house, like 4.2 miles or whatever it is. So I'm including all of that information in the photos and in the text, the copy for the descriptions. So I also rotate these out by season. So right now it is literally everything has to do with Sugar Beach, Hawk's Nest, all the snow, all the winter stuff. That's changing literally now to go towards summer, right? And that's when I'll pull in the hiking, Grandfather Mountain, tubing, ATVing, fly fishing, all of that type of stuff to transition it. So you need to think about what you're selling. So if you're not completely booked out, I'm at like 80% occupancy through the rest of the winter there. I'm absolutely crushing it. I should get a commission from Andrew Keller. And Chris knows this. I have not changed pricing. I've not changed anything in that Banner Oak property except for about 6-7 weeks ago. I updated my really good photos to Andrew Keller photos, and literally I'm up 31% revenue through December and pre-bookings into January, all because of those photos, all because of the staging. So we do stage for Christmas. We do stage for fall. So we go standard, then we go fall, then we go Christmas, right? At almost all of our properties. We do not do Christmas at the beach, just FYI. There's just not enough room for storage for most beach houses to be able to put massive 9-foot Christmas trees and all that type of stuff. So show the traffic, show the beach, show the Hangout Fest, show the Marlin, festival, show those things in your listing, whatever the highest traffic drivers are. Even if you're in an urban area, you need to show those traffic drivers. You got anything there, Chris?
Yeah, I want to hit this warning up for people. So do you just pull the pictures off the internet or have personal pictures taken of those traffic drivers?
So I'll
And
just give you go ahead, and then I'll add on.
no, go ahead. I'm sure you're
I'm
gonna say
just
what
going
I'm
to say,
gonna
like
say.
my Banner Elk property, I have a little lake right down at the bottom of, that Wildcat Lake, Chris. It's right down the bottom of my subdivision. Specifically, I had Andrew stop and take photos and Bria take photos because I couldn't find any that were royalty free online. So now you can talk about what you can and can't do.
Yeah, so you can't just take anyone's image from anything. This is especially true of the things with brands. You're talking anyone who's near a theme park or you're near an attraction that actually has a branding and all that around it. But it includes any photo anywhere. You want to make sure you pick photos that are royalty free, meaning they're designed to be used by other people for the purposes of promotion or anything else. You can find them. Canva has incredible amounts of them. There's 123RF, iStock. There's a whole bunch of sites. You look up royalty-free stock photos, you can find a site that allows you to then buy a photo to be able to use for different things like that. But as Bill mentioned, you should go with a purpose. So whenever you go, Bill always talks about this, that you go on vacation is not really a vacation because you're actually fixing things at a property when you visit it. But those are great times to also take pictures of the local restaurants that may be open. Don't have necessarily a photo of them. The other local things or attractions that may not be a stock photo worthy. So a photographer hasn't taken a picture of it. But while you're out on the town, while you're visiting your own properties or you're doing those check-ins once or twice a year, those are great times just to snag a bunch of quick photos, go down Main Street, snag some photos, go to the hot spot, snag some photos, and you can use them, one, in social media marketing if that's your bag, but two, you have them for your listing to be able to toss in throughout the year, especially if there's other things, or if you have those compression events, to be able to create a landing page that's super specific because you actually have that picture of the hangout at Hangout Fest or the crowd from whatever, or the soccer fields for the park, that kind of thing. You can actually put into a landing page to make it hyper specific for those compression events.
Agreed 1,000%. So if you guys look right there, that's my Instagram to what Chris is saying. Go to my Instagram and look at a photo that I just posted that my guest texted me yesterday. It's of my Banner Elk property. And literally, it was a beautiful photo. They got like 3 inches of snow or whatever it was. And someone said that they'd had no snow like about a mile away from my house. It's pretty amazing. I mean, we're at the very top. Chris knows it gets super windy up there too, very top of a mountain with like 50-mile range of views from our back deck. But we got the snow and the guest sent it to us and it was pretty. It was beautiful. I sent it to Bria. She spent like 30 seconds kind of brightening it up, editing it slightly on her phone. Then I went and I posted it. But I'm going to drop that in the listing. It's literally like the only photo we have of winter at the property because we've never been there, when it's snowed, and to be able to get that. So to capture that gives me a tremendous amount of marketability that I can use in my listings. This is something I'm going to show you guys. This is from the Bourbon Sherpa, Eric Carrico, one of my OG mastermind members. We do call this the Carrico rule. Make sure you check every box on Airbnb, including mosquito nets. So it's where I will go to Amazon and even buy the little mini fridge and properties that I might even have 2 refrigerators inside the property. And they're like the little Coke fridges for like 19 bucks. I'll leave it in the box. I'll put it in the master bedroom closet, wherever accessible to guests, to where we can check those boxes. We need lobster pots. We need mosquito nets. Very low cost, very cheap, right? We're even now putting in every single master suite. Not only are we adding fireplaces to every single master suite in our portfolio, we're going back to ones like even our number one property, Dragonfly. We didn't have them when we built the property. So we're going back and adding fireplaces this winter into that property. Then we'll have to reshoot that room. But we're also dropping in like single cup Keurigs and little mini coffee bars inside of the master suites, specifically if they're on different floors from the kitchen. So they remember that's your booker, right? So we want to take care of them. So when you talk about optimization, rankings and conversion, those are 2 things that we're looking at, to rank, but also to convert. The more you convert, the more you rank, right? So we're dropping those things in as amenities, but the more amenities that you can check that box, the better you're going to be able to rank when people are looking for those things. All right, number 6, last one, complete all copy. This is a huge one. Chris, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think you want to use every ounce of space you have. And there's some great tools for this. So you want to get your key points in. You're still speaking to a person, but you can use things like ChatGPT and Jasper to help you, especially in those things that are a little bit longer, because there are some sections you can fill out on Airbnb that can take a lot of words to fill out. But ChatGPT can help you if you're struggling to get those juices flowing, and then actually Jasper can help kind of make it even that much better. Make sure you have absolutely everything filled out, every spot, every space, every character. Know the character limits where you have before it truncates it. Same thing for the captions. That at some point it truncates it, and then you don't see the full caption. So know where that is, find that balance, but try and use all the space you have for all the words you have. This kind of goes back to the, as Bill mentioned earlier, the search engine optimization days. And you kind of do the same thing for websites. It's why blogs exist, because that's how you would drive traffic to a site. Is you create a blog with keywords, and then those keywords would rank really high, and then that site itself would rank really high. We're kind of doing the same thing where we want to fill out every word, use all the space you can, put in words of value so that you can rank yourself, the algorithm and stuff to snag onto. For the people that kind of shrink it and say the minimal, or even don't speak to a person, which is the other side of this, right? Where you're forgetting that there's a person reading this. This isn't just for the algorithm. That you want to find that balance of telling the story. You have the space in most places to do both. Tell the story, speak to the person, but also make sure you hit all the space you need and all the key components to make sure that all the parts of your listing, the where it is, the key components of it, the things in it, all the check boxes, that you hit it all when you fill out your listing.
Agreed. So I'm going to show you something here. This is on a property that this is one of the properties in the OBX, which I've listed to be able to qualify for cost segregation, but I have not built out the listing yet because we don't have photos or anything, not really ready to take bookings. But directions, there's no details. So check-in method, Wi-Fi details, house manual, checkout instructions, guidebooks. A lot of people are going to say, oh, I have all that in my touch stay, my guidebook, my HostAway, whatever you're using, and you're not going to fill that out. Like for directions, as an example, I'm going to go back. Well, this property, I can leverage the traffic drivers. I can leverage Kitty Hawk. I can leverage Duck. I can leverage the restaurants. I can leverage the beach. And I can use that within copy to where when I click on this, I can go in and type out a million different things that I want to include in here. It doesn't just have to be the turn-by-turn directions, right? So I'm going to go back. How do I get back out of here? Okay, I'll just hit the back button. And this is the Quorum, Montana. This is at the entrance to Glacier National Park. So when I do these here, I will go in and I will type in something about Glacier National Park. And I might even say we are 3.6 miles from West Glacier at the entrance to Glacier National Park. Something along those lines, right? And because obviously in my image that I'll probably use on this property, and it's a condo, it's this one here. I am not going to go in and actually I can do this here. I will not have these images in this order when we're actually rent ready, right? This most likely here will be a picture of Glacier National Park. That will either be McDonough Lake or it will be, one of the mountains, or I can't remember the name, Avalanche Lake that looks like Jurassic Park. You guys remember that open scene where the waterfalls are coming down like 1,000-foot waterfalls? That's literally what it looks like. So something like that will be the showstopper. That will be tie into the pictures, right? All of those components. Then I'll get into, all of this different type of stuff. That's a huge component of the listing optimization side, right? But even though all of that stuff, the neighborhood, getting around, the Wi-Fi instructions, I'm going to max out as much copy as I can. And even though it's going to be in my touch stay guide, I'm still going to write through it in there because I want to take advantage of that and even try to get some keywords and SEO copy in there. That's why I'm going to use West Glacier. I'm going to use Glacier National Park. I'll say Whitefish. I'll say Kalispell, like flying into the airport from Kalispell, Montana. Then here's the directions. Once you hit here, then you'll pass Hungry Horse because Hungry Horse is a keyword, right? So I'm looking at adding all of that stuff. This is probably the most technical part that we'll talk about from, an SEO standpoint. Those things will help because the bots, the spiders that crawl, the listings, just like they do with a regular website, they're going to see those keywords and it's going to give me more relevance than somebody that's just doing go 7 miles, turn left at stoplight, turn right at stop sign, and you're here. That type of stuff and more detail.
And there's still a person at the end of it, whether because we don't know. It's like any other algorithm. We don't know how much what plays into what or how much percentage of anything plays into it. But there's still a person at the end. So if you have directions and someone's wondering specifically, because it's hard to tell sometimes, how close am I from your house to this thing I'm interested in going to, which is the reason I'm coming to the place to begin with. If you use some of those key identifiers, like it's this far from the hangout, and this far from this activity, and this far from that activity, it's this far from the entrance to Glacier National Park, it's this far from the next thing. People get an idea of, oh yeah, you're right there. I really want to be within that space. And so it's using all that to not just speak for the algorithms. We have no idea what it pulls, where it pulls from, how it ranks everything, but also for the person who's making a decision to have an idea of where the property is and what's in it.
Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit whoever posted this. Are you really going to trust somebody that makes $2.75 an hour in the Philippines? I don't care if they're your account manager or if they're support. The only people that really know are the ones that test, and the ones that work in the algorithm division. The account managers don't know, I promise you, and neither does support. So spend the extra 3.5 to 5 minutes and fill every single thing out inside. I've been doing SEO for about 16 years. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Are you putting stock photos of traffic drivers as your hero photo? That depends, right? So like at the condo that I just showed you, where literally I am the highest end luxury property and the closest proximity to Glacier National Park, and that is the single biggest traffic driver by far, then yes, I will do that. In most cases, like at beach, at lake, you are using the traffic driver, but it incorporates your property, incorporates the house or the condo or whatever that is. I can't do that in the use case I just showed you. But when I'm at the beach, I'm showing the view first. When I'm at the lake, I'm showing the view, right? When I'm at my Montana property, I'm showing the view out the back windows or from the deck. That's why I always want to start outside. Even if I was in downtown, Nashville, I would show the view. If I'm like going after bachelorette parties, I'm literally showing bachelorettes, or I'm showing Broadway. Last night, we had 1 million people here. If anybody saw it, it was like as big as Times Square. It was crazy. I'm going to showcase those attractions, and you can get stock photos. So here's Chris, you have some.
Yeah, I just want to pull up just to show when you talk about how many stock photos there are. So this is Glacier National Park, stock photos from Shutterstock. And this is just the first page. And there's already a ton that would be incredible options. But I want to go down to how many pages. There are 2,590 pages of photos of this length, or this amount of photos per page, of stock photos of Glacier National Park. Obviously, not every place will have such it's a beautiful place. That's why people take so many photos of it. But for certain places, you can get away with using some type of stock because there are so many stock photos that someone's not going to look at any of these photos that are stock and go like, oh, okay, that's just an average photo. But if I took, well, not me, if the average person with their phone took a photo of a similar space, you probably wouldn't get to the same quality level or the same experience. And sometimes that's the best part about stock photos. You actually have a professional photographer who took it, they're selling online, and you're able to kind of get that quality benefit. Same thing where we could tell from the listing we started with that the photos weren't the photos weren't the photographer quality, because you can tell like, oh, iPhones create the haziness, there isn't the clarity of it, there isn't a sharpness, those other things. Same thing with stock, that you can really tell when there's a really good stock photo and when there's a meh stock photo.
Agreed 1,000%. This is a great question right here. What number of photos should the traffic driver photos be organized? Lake Avalanche, for example. So I will typically do one photo of the traffic driver. My Banner Oak property is the prime example. So during the summer, I have Grandfather Mountain. I have mountain biking at Beach Mountain, fly fishing at Wildcat Lake, and hiking. 5 typically. So I put them like image number 3 through like 8. So I have my backyard photo, the dramatic photo that Andrew took of my fire pit, my hot tub. It shows both the guest house, the main house, all that type of stuff. Then I have a collage. I think it's image number 2. Never do a collage as image number 1, just FYI. And the collage is 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's of the game room, because they can see the hot tub, they can see the fire pit in image number 1, and they can see how massive, the fire pit is and how big the property is, and the photo's exceptional at one of those twilight photos. So then I go to the second biggest piece to sell for that property, specifically outside of the traffic drivers, and it's going to be the massive 3-car game room, right? So I take the pool table, the arcade games, the shuffleboard, the movie sitting area, all that type of stuff, and put them into 4 different photos all inside of one. I see a lot of people doing collages on image number 1. You do not want to do a collage on image number 1. It's almost like the 20% text rule for ads on Facebook, back in the day. But at the end of the day, here's what I want you to understand. Becoming a good SEO, a listing optimization specialist in this world, it takes testing. That's why I like having Rank Breeze, and I can comp set myself, against my competitors. And then I make one change. So if I change my listing, I'm not also changing 4 or 5 photos and updating copy and that type of stuff. I'm doing one thing at a time. I'm going to wait 72 hours for the algorithm to kick back in. Then I'm going to go back and check and see. I'm going to check Rank Breeze. Then I'm going to go double check in Chrome incognito browser. And I'm going to do a manual search as well. I used to do this 3 or 4 times a week. I don't have time anymore. I'm trying to get it done once a week now. Sometimes if I have extra time, I'll spend a little bit extra time on the second part of the week, but I just don't have enough time. But you got to be in there. You've got to do it at least once a week. So I'm like at my bare minimum right now. So I've got to make sure that it's really effective. A lot of you will cut corners and say, well, I'm going to update the main image, the hero image, and I'm going to change the title, and I'm going to change some copy because I just don't have enough time. Be patient. Do one thing at a time. If you do more and something happens positively or negatively, you go from page 4 to page 1, or you go from page 2 to page 9. If you do 3 things, you don't know which one caused it. So you can only do one at a time. This is an ongoing process that we need to be patient with it.
Absolutely.
You can find him on Facebook or in the Facebook group. I mean, I'm not at liberty to disclose his information. He's everywhere. What other questions we got here, Chris? I know we've got a lot of them.
I was trying to go through flag stuff as I saw stuff. And if anyone has any questions, I know this is delayed slightly, but if anyone has any questions, pop them in the chat. We'd love to answer them for you.
I'm going to jump in. Why is that not? Oh, there we go. I'm going to jump in over here. So here's another listing that I kind of want to walk through you real quick. This is Rachel from Rockaway Beach in Oregon. Rockaway Beach, I'm just going to make an assumption that this is at the beach. And then the first photo that I see literally is upstairs looking down. 1, I hate these photos. 2, this definitely should not be the very first photo. If it's at the beach, then show me the beach. If you're in Oregon, you're probably going to have something majestic around you, the forest, whatever it is, to show me from the outside in. The other reason I don't like this is that, look, I don't know if that's driveway or if that's a road and that's a road. It looks like the road's like 3 feet from, that's probably the driveway and that's probably a road. Anyways, I don't like that. If I'm going to do this, I would be downstairs and I'd be shooting away from that window. I just got to know what that is, but it does not look very attractive in that image, and that would scare me. Staging, got to have coffee table books, flowers, dough bowl, something here. Not a big fan of a very small, it's really a love seat. Having the pillows, I'd probably get rid of that white and black pillow and then turn the green pillows kind of into angle into the corners there. So it looks like it's got a little bit more room. I like this photo. This is my favorite photo so far that I see. I like that you have stuff on the table here. I see stuff on the countertop. Once again, this is a really bad Chris bowed out for a second, but if the camera would have been just turned slightly to the right to get the entire kitchen, or shot from the chair over here, kind of, Chris, critique how you could get this, because it's cut off on the right hand side, right?
Yeah, then I completely understand. There's some places that are just hard to capture in kind of the area, but what happened here is you have so much of like this lamp that's, because it's on the edge, it gets distorted, so it's not even it doesn't look like a circular lamp. It kind of has a weird shape to it. That this is one of those times where we get in the photos that there's a like loft space above it. You don't have to show in every photo of the living room that you can actually see the lofted space. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way if you can't get back far enough, because you can only get so far in most spaces anyway. So drop it down, shift it over so you're not cutting everything off. Or there's one of the times where sometimes you just need a wider angle lens, or just to shift focus. You can't always get all the space in every shot. So you just want to shift and like, okay, this might have been better just to be kitchen as the focus with a little bit of the living room. Like you could see the chairs and kind of shift everything over. Or completely the other way where it's shooting over the table looking in the living room, but kind of trying to combine it. Again, your eye doesn't know where to go. There's no real focus of it. All it does is just distort all the stuff on the edges because the camera angle is so wide.
So the other thing, like this photo here, is enough to show that you have a 4-person dining table here. And if you're going to shoot the dining table, then probably like stand right here and get a little bit more of a close-up than trying to include it into the kitchen. So now if I don't go back and get a close-up, that looks like the coffee bar, but I can't really tell. And it's not in any of the other images.
Yeah, I'll give a secret, a photographer secret. You can move furniture to take a photo. Like if the dining table is in the way of your photo of the kitchen, because you would stand where the dining table is, move the dining table, take the picture of the kitchen, put the dining table back. No one's going to be like, I didn't know the dining table was there. It's in this photo. You can clearly tell there's a dining table on that side of the kitchen, but you can move a chair out of the way to put your camera where your camera needs to be. And photographers will do this. You will move furniture around and put it back just so you can make sure you're in the right spot to take the photo, because someone would be sitting there. It would, it doesn't matter for that extensive purposes, but you can move stuff around if you need to move stuff around.
100%. This is something that I don't like, Chris. What causes this is that the wide angle lens, I mean, that TV looks like it's 140 inches wide. The couch looks like it's, way too wide. This room looks, and what happens when you stretch it, especially when you're shooting kind of, I guess it would be horizontally, or the length of the room. Now this room looks like it's super scrunched. There's no room to move around. You know what I mean? Because the couch is elongated, the room's elongated, the TV's elongated.
Yeah. So I want to get too technical, but when you use a wide angle lens, the two things it does is it puts everything in the dead center, feels further away than it actually is. And anything on the edges get distorted and feel super close compared to where they actually are. So when you put stuff actually on the edges, what ends up happening is they get stretched out because they're right on the edge of the lens. And so it's pulling it all. I wish you could see my mouse, but it's pulling it all to the right. It's pulling it all to the left. But everything in the dead center is going to feel even further away than it actually is, because that's the way the lens is designed to work. And so I know it's difficult, but there's a reason why there's a limit on the lenses we use, because it can cause issues like this, and you can actually fix some of this as well. Not the cutting off, but the feeling too far away by making some distortion and corrections in Photoshop.
Upstairs TV loft area. No shit. I mean, I kind of could figure that out because I see the stairway and I know this is a loft. Tell me about what I'm gonna do. Perfect place for the kids to be at. Send the kids while mom and dad relax in the hot tub or whatever. Seating for up to 8 and a 57-inch TV, with video games and whatever. Be descriptive. Tell me what I'm gonna do. Tell me what I have available, to do up there. How can I utilize that space? This room looks way better in this photo, even though it's cut off again, right? Than that kind of elongated previous
Mhm.
photo. Would you agree? I mean, had it just looks way more functional now.
Yeah, there's a whole other chair you couldn't even see in the other photo because the TV cut it off at the edge of it.
Exactly. Hey, there's another one too. That one I really don't like. That looks super tight. I probably wouldn't include that one in my listing.
Mhm.
Oh, there's games. So in that very first photo, you should have said games for kids to be able to play up in that room. I'd get rid of one of those chairs and actually add an infinity table up there if it was me. I would probably stretch some of this stuff out over here just from a staging standpoint, so it's not all cluttered in a corner. I do love the s'more station. I think my wife might even have that exact same box
Mhm.
someplace. I think this
Oh,
is
there's a
a
coffee
really,
thing in the corner.
what's that?
The lens was cutting it off at the to the right of that coffee thing. You couldn't even see. You see like a little piece of it.
Yep, that's not a really good picture. I'd get rid of
Yeah.
that. That's a pretty good picture, but like Chris said, that's stuff that could be staged just to show everything, but then make sure all that stuff like that should be put away. I believe toasters and blenders and all that type of stuff should always be stored in cabinets. Don't leave those out on the counters. Keep it as clean and as classy as possible. Stay classy, San Diego. So that's really one of my big pet peeves right there. Just the two little 12 by 12, deals. I would actually paint this wall green. I paint the green to match the pillows, and that's just going to change the whole dynamic of this
Mhm.
room. Get rid of those things. I see the electrical panel behind it. You can't really do anything about that, but just paint that wall green, and it's going to make it pop and it's going to make it stand out. I don't know what the purpose of that chair is there, but I'd probably get rid of that chair as well, just sitting in the corner. Yeah, I think hospital, Chris. I told
Mhm.
Bria this when I saw the Gulf Shores property before she went to the OBX, and I got a video of it, and I'm like, I hope you ordered artwork. She's all, there's still more painting to do, and there's more artwork. I said, good, because I felt like I was in a hospital. I feel the same thing. I love white, but when it's all
A
white,
lot of white. Yeah.
it's a lot of white. You need some pops of color in here to offset that. I don't know if that's a leaf or if that's a cigar or a cigarette or whatever, but I'm sure it's a leaf. But small shit like this really irritates me. That's why my
Mhm.
wife is literally in the OBX with Andrew right now to make sure that stuff like that, because photographers are notorious of being fucking lazy. They won't see it or they won't go and remove that little leaf or whatever it is. You know what I mean, Chris?
Yeah, and that's so easy too. If someone noticed it later to fix and post, you know, mistakes like that are much easier to fix than like I left a tripod out in a room somewhere. Those are much harder to
Yep.
fix.
We're at image 26 of 31. And I think I've spotted a fire pit over there in the left-hand side, or at least I see chairs
I
or
think so.
something over there. I'm guessing it's
You
coming.
go into it? Nope, that's a laundry room.
We're
Nope,
running out of
other
space
side,
here.
other side. Are we gonna see it? There
Oh,
it is.
all right.
Number 30.
It's not pretty. I get it. That's fine, but that is still an amenity that I would have in my first top 10 images. I don't like that it's up against the wall. I don't like that you have neighbors right there, but I would still not have this as image number 30 of 31, right? So either you are so afraid that people are going to not like the mold on the fence or the neighbors or whatever. And if that's the case, don't even show it, right? If you think that it's a detriment. But if you think it's valuable, then move this up into your listing. I would definitely move this. I would actually make this a little bit, I'd invest a couple of bucks, drop some string lights on the side of the house, try to make it a little bit nicer. For less than probably 400 or 500 bucks, maybe depending on your occupancy, which I haven't even looked at, maybe add 2 more chairs and just kind of beef it up a little bit. But I would ask you, I guess this is probably the front of the house where you pull in. and maybe there is no back area. I don't remember seeing it, but the other thing is I don't really know. Yeah, that's the front, and I guess that's on the back there that you probably don't have room to be able to move that in the back. And this should be your very last image, just FYI. And then just be more descriptive with your copy. Rockaway Beach.
There you are.
Cool. A frame away, dog friendly, half-mile from the beach. So what does a frame away mean? I don't know what that means. Is that the name of your property? Because
That'd
if
be
it
my guess.
is, you do not want to put that into your title ever. We want keywords and we want stuff that the amenities and things that people are going to be looking for. So I'd probably have dog friendly, and then a slash and then half M 2 beach, like number 2 beach, to be able to save characters, and then figure out whatever else ties into your traffic, get rid of that and some of the characters you're going to save here, and see if you can get that third kind of call to action into your title. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. What other questions we got, Christopher?
Let's go. We can re-hit this one again. Why no collages is photo number 1? Just makes the photo small on the search page.
Number 1 is it's definitely can affect the algorithm. The biggest thing, honestly, is on this. You put 4 images into that. Go look at someone commented that their competitor has it in their first image. Go pull up their listing and look at it on your phone. It's too hard to see. You got 4 things crammed in there. I got to click on it. I got to expand it. Nobody wants to work that hard. One of the biggest things about UX, the user experience, is don't make me work for anything, right? Anytime that somebody asks a question about your property means you've done a bad job of communicating with them. Anytime a guest has to ask you, do you have TVs in the bedrooms? Do you have a coffee maker? Do you have coffee? That means you've done a poor job of communicating with them. You've done a poor job of setting up your listing. You've done a poor job inside of your guidebook. You've done a poor job of your communication in your messages. So if you get people that are asking you stuff about your property before they go in and they book with you, then you need to take that as constructive criticism and make it easier for them to find that information. Now, that's the rule. There's exceptions. There's idiots that are out there, right, that just don't read or aren't doing stuff. And, you can do that. This is not Collage Bus, just FYI. I have a collage in every one of my listings. I just don't have it in the hero image in number 1, just FYI. I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm a fan of collages, just not in the first one.
When you say page 1, does that mean for a specific search area? For example, I search Wallace, Idaho, which is where my property is located. I'm always the first property that populates.
So I am looking at my rankings by date specifically and by occupancy, right? And I'm correlating from Rank Breeze to AirBNB, and that's why I will go in. So number 1, so just as an example, I want you guys to understand most of my properties are bigger. My smallest property is my 2-bedroom condo. The one that I showed you was for a client. I have one right next to him, outside of Glacier National Park. So my occupancy is 6. So really, I'm interested in 1 through 6 for that. But when I have bigger properties, like the OBX properties, they're going to sleep 20. I'm not looking at probably anything below 10. So if I'm ranked on page 7 for 4 people, I don't really care, if that makes sense. But I'm not necessarily looking at this by the town, right? So I'm not looking at Duck, North Carolina, or Kitty Hawk, North Carolina to be on page number 1. I want it to be throughout the entire Outer Banks, because I believe the entire Outer Banks is my competition. When I'm in Gulf Shores, Alabama, I'm not just optimizing for Gulf Shores. I'm competing against Orange Beach and Fort Morgan, Alabama. When I'm in, downtown Nashville on Broadway, I'm still competing against the Gulch or, the 2nd Avenue or the other, areas that are around 12 South that are around that area, right? So I think a lot of us think way too small. Think the entire market is who you're competing against, and then think about your occupancy levels. Think about your room count size, and then think about your pricing. Those are the things that I'm focusing on.
Can you repeat about where you should put the name of your property? I think you said don't put it in the Airbnb name.
The name of the property, when I come to be right there, this dog-friendly chalet in Rockaway Beach, that should say, welcome to Dragonfly located right in the heart of Gulf Shores, Alabama. Does that make sense? So I'm getting my brand name in there, and I'm reiterating that it's in Gulf Shores, Alabama, not Fort Morgan, not Orange Beach. So if that savvy guest wants to go and do a Google search, hopefully, oh, there's Dragonfly. Yeah. And then they go Google search Dragonfly in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of Dragonfly, a lot of the properties that you and Bria have, you do a great job of one, the branding, but also there's an image somewhere in there of that specific branding, so it's easy for someone to find and kind of put the
It's
two pieces together.
usually image number 6, just FYI. That way, because on every listing, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images. So I usually put that as image number 6. You can see it in Banner Elk. You can see it in, Dragonfly, Little Dragonfly, all of those. And I try to have bigger signs too. So like my Dragonfly sign's like 3 feet by, I don't know, maybe 3 by 5, 3 by 6 on the front of the house underneath. And then we take a big picture of it. Banner Elk, I've got a huge sign as you pull in, even before you get into the driveway. So we have a photo of that with the house behind it. So a lot of those things are very intentional. I have some like Little Dragonfly is just probably, I don't know, it's maybe 16, 18 inches tall, 2-3 feet. And but it's on the front of the house as you would pull in underneath the house. So that way we can show the house, the color of it, but also focus on the signage as well.
We have a tiny home. Opposite the home is a mountain view. Would it be better to have a photo of the home or the view as the hero photo?
I don't even need to think about that. I'm going to let you think. Whoever asked the question, I want to ask you, what do you think after going through this today? Let's move on.
Yeah.
It's outside the mountain view.
Yeah, I'll toss this one at you. What's the biggest impact for amenity that you would recommend or made the biggest impact for your properties?
Pool at the beach. So I put in 2 pools at the same time. I had the original Little Dragonfly. Chris, I don't even know if you ever saw that house. Did we ever stay there? The original?
Yeah, I don't think we stayed there, but I believe I saw
Back
it.
on West Lagoon behind West Beach, the little 2-bedroom
Yeah.
that I bought. So I put one in there when I was building my Dragonfly property. And that little 2-bedroom, literally, that I paid $429,000 for, I put in a $51,000 pool at that time, went from like ADR by I can't remember the name of the management company that Deb Wood used to work for. But anyways, they were probably one of the best management companies in Gulf Shores. It was doing like an average of $389 on ADR, and I pumped that thing up to like 780, 770, or 770, 780. I increased by like $400 a night by adding the pool and going through the summer, and then people wanted to buy it, so I ended up selling it. So that's the number one thing, is going to be a pool. Kenny would tell you pretty much anywhere. If you can put a pool in for not, you don't want to go spend 250 grand, but the pool is the number one amenity. It's the needle mover. A lot of people have seen that I put in a barrel sauna in Montana. Some of you have asked me, barrel saunas can get expensive. They can be $3,000 to $7,000. Hot tubs are about $7,000 to $15,000. Is that a hot tub replacement? No, it's not a hot tub replacement. The number 2 amenity would be a hot tub in most cases. I'm actually adding those to the beach market now as well. I am in the process now of talking to my electrician, trying to figure out where I would even drop one at Dragonfly, Chris, and Little Dragonfly. Little Dragonfly is a prime example. I have a beachfront property in Fort Morgan, Alabama. It has no amenities. I mean, I've got an $800 fire pit on the deck, a little propane fire pit from Home Depot, but it doesn't have any amenities outside of the house. I don't have kayaks or stand-up paddle boards or a pool or a hot tub or any of that other type of stuff. So now I'm looking at dropping a hot tub. The only thing I don't like about it is the deck is so small. I don't really have enough room to put in a decent enough size, like the depth that I have from the house to the railing. So without having to expand, and I can expand, but it's about a 7-8 month permitting process because of the beach mouse, because I have to go towards the water. So now I don't know if I'm going to get enough bang for my buck from a marketability standpoint to have it underneath the house. Right. So that's what I'm still toying with, even myself. So the whole point here is I am very, very calculated on what I'm adding to a property for return on investment. Right. So I think that I would be better off having what I do call amenity stacking, value stacking. So like at my Dragonfly house, I've got a solo stove for a fire pit. I've got all the beach toys, all the beach gear. I've got bikes. I've got all the games. I've got arcade games. I've got an infinity game. I've stocked all these different things into it. And now if I put in a hot tub, same thing at that number one. Where do I put the hot tub, Chris? I've
Mhm.
originally could have put it where the cabanas are, but last year I added cabanas. I could either put it up top on that second floor, or like between where the bikes are, between where the shower and the steps go up to that second stop, the second floor underneath. So there's a lot of consideration that has to go in. It's not just about buying the amenity, is really the moral of this story. It's about where is it going to go? How's it going to look? What's the functionality of it? How am I going to market it? So just adding a hot tub and checking that box in your listing is not good enough. I don't know that I have a place at my Dragonfly property to have a good enough view or good enough access, because all the other shit that I have there. My little Dragonfly property, it's great, but I'm not going to have the view of the water unless I want to go through the permitting process. So I could potentially add it underneath and then move it up top and wait for the permitting and wait for the deck to be rebuilt. But then that just exacerbates the cost. So all of those things are things that I'm weighing, just like what you guys do. And every year during this time is when I'm looking at making updates to our property.
How much did your barrel sauna cost? I reluctantly bought the hot tub. Now I guess I need the sauna too.
I mean, just because I have a barrel sauna, don't think that you need to have it. So I've never purchased a barrel sauna before. To be very honest, I'd seen what Patrick Swinetech had been doing with saunas and stuff like that, all the Joshua Tree properties that he co-hosts. And I was always interested in one because I think it gives me a lot of marketability. So to be perfectly honest with you, I bought it as about a $6,000 marketing investment. Also knowing that me and my wife me and my wife discussed it. We used to use them at our country club when we used to be members at a country club here. And ironically, I've been in an infrared sauna the last 2 days. I love it. So the marketability was a very important component to this. There was not, at the time that I put one in, I still don't think there is. I haven't gone back and looked at it since had the mastermind meeting in Whitefish. There was not another sauna that I could find doing my research anywhere in the Whitefish general area, from Glacier National Park, Whitefish, all the way where I'm at. That's one of the reasons I decided to buy one. So I added on a deck and I put my hot tub and the barrel sauna strategic, and Chris has been in both of them just a few weeks ago, strategically pointed to where you can be in both and look at the view. If you've seen my place, I've got two places in Montana, but the one I'm talking about is the River House, Lodge 93. And the selling point, the traffic driver, getting away from my microphone, the selling point, the traffic driver is the view, right? So I could have put it on the existing deck and saved about $8,000 from having to add on the deck. But I wanted, if I'm going to spend 20 grand for a hot tub and a sauna, I need that marketability. So Chris, if you think about, what tree I'm talking about, right? If I put those out, if I put one of them, I couldn't put the barrel sauna, but if I put the hot tub like outside the slider or someplace on that deck, it's impeded. It doesn't have that view. The marketability 10x's, maybe 15x's based on where I put it, based on that small investment. So the barrel sauna, I've only used it once. Chris and I actually got in that thing. I tried to use it after he left. I couldn't figure out how to turn the damn thing on. I still got to fix that. But I love the marketability of it. My wife and I will use it. I do believe that there is a value for saunas along with hot tubs in cold markets that have enough traffic to be able to justify that in the winter time. So if you're like a ski in, ski out, or a ski property, I love the sauna so much, and I love the sauna that I've been in the last 2 days at this place that I go to. Tomorrow I've already started looking to purchase one to put in my house, so I don't have to have a membership at like Restore, Chris, where I go cryo and do all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, the point of this is that you have to do research, and you have to calculate your cash on cash return, just like you do return investing into a property, to make sure that you get your return. I think there's absolutely, if I look at a 50% cash on cash return in that barrel sauna, even if I'm spending $6,000, there is no question, because of where I put it and how I'm going to market it that I would make $3,000 a year off of that barrel sauna. So for me, that's a good investment.
Oh, that's awesome. Would you suggest putting in the property's floor plan or layout?
100% another reason I love Andrew, because Andrew does the Matterport and then he does Mac Daddy 3D renderings, not just like the black and white stuff or the small ones that you get from most Fiverr people. Yeah, I do love that. I think it's almost a necessity nowadays if you have 2 floors. A lot of my properties, like that I own and co-host, have 3 floors because they're bigger. Like both properties in the OBX have 3 floors. Dragonfly has 2. Sunny D has 3. My lake property has 3. Another lake property has 3. Anytime you have 2 or 3, a lot of people, it's hard for them to visualize and to understand. Even though we tell them in the description, even though we tell them underneath the images, having those renderings to show here's main floor, here's basement, here's upstairs, here's guest house, whatever that is, it just gives that one extra element for them to be able to visualize. Because remember, if they have to ask questions, we're not doing our job. Confusion leads to a no.
Mm-hmm.
Confusion leads to a no. If I have clarity and I'm not confused, it's much easier for me to give you a yes.
Absolutely. I want to hit this one up because that might help us transition. Because I do want to talk about the conference before we get out of here. Because about the conference, so to register for breakout sessions. Breakouts, no. So if anyone's looked at our emails, probably got the email today that ticket prices actually increased at 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Eastern time, midnight Central time. And so if you haven't gotten your ticket to the STR Wealth Conference, now is the time to do it. There'll be incredible breakouts. I'll be leading one of those breakouts that will go into marketing as well there. There's also a workshop. Workshops are different. They're paid. They're before the conference. That there'll be an entire workshop track on marketing. If you guys want to dive deeper, myself and our really good friend Mark Simpson will be on stage. I get to take Bill's place this time, battling out with Mark about landing pages versus full websites. But no, we'll talk about way more than that. But I really wanted to talk about the conference for a second because now is the time to do it, because it's going to cost you $200 more tomorrow if you wait to get a ticket.
So here's the deal in regards to the conference. These are the Monday workshops. These require a ticket to be able to get into. This is track number 1, Mike Sjogren, Boutique Hotel Mastery. Track number 2, Guide to Success. This is really about building super properties, going from scratch with me and my wife. Are going to, not actually, this is not me and my wife. This is me and Sean Moore from Vodacy are going to be knocking that out. Chris, we need to add his name to that, by the way.
I can do that.
Number 3, Mastering Modern Marketing. This is Mark Simpson and Chris Wharton going to be crushing that out. Revving Up Revenue. This is the one that I'm the most excited about. I don't know how many seats we have left, but this one and then the one that I'm going to be doing on building super properties in your portfolio, I would be in these. This is like for the rookies here to go from zero. If you've been doing this and you got 100 properties, don't come to my session. But the revenue management, I've got Tom Lyons from Casago, Emil Sakal, one of my mastermind members, and John on, 3 of the top probably 5 revenue managers in our industry are going to absolutely crush it. These things, Chris, what are these? 4 hours, I think? Yeah. They're like 4 hours. So this is like half of a boot camp. And how much are they? Like $200, $195?
Well, $197.
$197. These do require another ticket. I think they're all probably 50, 60% sold out. You guys are here. If you're coming to the conference, jump into the revenue management. If you're looking at boutique hotels, I just put one under contract, actually. I wish I could go sit in Mike's, but I'm going to be a little bit busy. The content on Monday, before we even get started, is going to be off the hook. Chris, have we announced the breakout sessions yet?
No, just that we'll have them. There's 16 of them. Well, 16 as of now. We have a couple more spots that we have potential breakouts to pop into, but 16 full breakout sessions. There's 8 each day, 4 concurrently, then a quick break, then 4 concurrently. This around our networking lunchtime. We're waiting on a few to get a little more specific for us, and then we'll actually announce all of them for everyone so they know. And they are first come, first serve. Each room seats about 300 people, so you have plenty of space. And there's also networking opportunities. There's the vendor showcase. There's lots of stuff going on during that lunch networking time.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, folks. If you're coming, this will be announced probably in 2 weeks. Hank Norman, not only is he the keynote speaker, the builder of personal brands, Grant Cardone, Mel Robbins, Steve Harvey, but there's going to be a really special workshop that'll be done on Tuesday night. Pace Morby, worth the price of admission. My wife and I are going to be doing a breakout session on building super properties. Rachel Gainsbourg is going to be doing a breakout session on, midterm rentals. I think it's Noble and TJ. Is that right? Or is it Noble and somebody? I think TJ to Johnny, they're going to be doing like government contracts and stuff like that, which is going to be just absolutely amazing. I'm going to be doing some co-hosting stuff with Natalie Palmer. I think we've got Sean, and I can't remember whoever else is going to be doing some revenue management and that type of stuff in the breakout sessions. Stacy St. John. I can't remember what we have Stacy doing. Angie Wisdom, ladies. Angie Wisdom is one of our keynotes. She is fucking unbelievable. What a name, too. Angie Wisdom. I wish that was my name. I want to be Bill Wisdom. I've gotten the pleasure of knowing her over the last probably 4 or 5 months. Rockstar, powerhouse, women's only breakout session on day number 2 about breaking the ceiling. Remember, these are first come, first serve in these breakouts. They're free. They're included in your ticket. But ladies, you are going to run to Angie's room where she's going to be, because it will be standing room only. Our breakout sessions will seat 300 people. So standing room only is going to be about 400. Kenny Bedwell, STR Insights, the foremost authority on data and analyzing properties. He's actually going to have a booth. He's our title sponsor. And while we're doing these breakout sessions, every 20 minutes, he's going to be doing or every 30 minutes, a new individual session as well on the vendor room floor, which is going to be pretty awesome. We have John Howard and Ryan Bakey doing cost segs and taxes in a breakout. It's going to be absolutely nuts as to what is happening. It's not like the last 2 years where it's just going to be one stage. There's a lot of stuff going on. What do we have, Chris? What do we have? 24 breakout sessions. Is that right? Total 8, 4, 8, right? 20. 20. I shouldn't say breakouts. Breakouts are pre-conference. We have 20 breakouts on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we have the 4-hour workshops on Monday. And obviously we've got, thank you to Tyler Kuhn from Savvy Realty in North Carolina for making it happen to where we could afford Damon John, the People Shark, to come in. Many of you don't know that Damon is a pretty astute real estate investor. And instead of him doing a keynote speech, I've convinced Damon to sit down with Mike and I, and we're going to do a Q&A. And Chris is going to figure out how we get you guys involved in the Q&A so you can get all your questions answered as well. This will be the most badass event that we've ever put on. The education is going to be 10 times bigger, 10 times greater. And don't forget about the opening party and all the other stuff. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. If you are watching this and you're in my inner circle, keep an eye on your email. You're going to have a special invitation for my private dinner that I'll be hosting just for you guys on Tuesday night there as well. And I think that's a wrap for Marketing Monday. We are literally an hour over length. Hopefully we've created some value for you guys here. If you guys have any questions, just let us know. You can, if you're watching this on the recording, just pop in a question, tag Chris or myself. We'll come in and answer them. And hopefully we'll see you guys back here next Monday. Have a great day, everybody, and Happy New Year.